Hi, my name is Paris Hoskins, and this lesson is over an organizational intervention called Open Systems Mapping. Open systems mapping is derived from systems theory. Open systems theory refers to systems that interact with other systems or the outside environment. This theory views an organization as an entity that takes inputs from the environment, transforms the inputs, and releases them as outputs. Open system theory recognizes the hierarchical nature of entities, whereby each level of the organization comprises of subsystems or interrelated parts. Subsystems focus on converting inputs to marketable outputs or services, in which positive or negative feedback is given from customers and other sources, which can lead to changes in the organization. Open system mapping is used to help the organization determine its mission based on where it currently is and where it would like to be. Mapping helps to identify gaps, and then it is up to the discretion of the organization on how to close the gap. On the next slide, we will view Heap's approach as to how to use open systems mapping. Mapping the system on where it currently is, and then mapping where the organization wants to be, helps to make the vision more concrete. Heap uses these steps to map the system or the organization and the outside influences. First, describe the system. Next, list the factors that influence or are influenced by the system. Third, describe the relationship. And lastly, indicate the way people feel about the relationship. I will give an example of this later on in the presentation, so let's move on. First, let's start with the strengths of open system mapping. It considers the impact of both near and distant future on organizational activities. Organizations constantly respond to changes in the internal and external environment. Systems theory is useful in the context as the organization can adopt a number of strategies in either responding or challenging the environment. This approach also provides a holistic view of the organization. The organization is studied as a whole and not through its parts. This enables it to adapt to the needs of the environment as well. Lastly, being able to either understand market trends and/or create market trends through the use of feedback loops will provide the organization a potential competitive advantage. Next, let's look at the weaknesses of open systems mapping. One criticism of systems theory is that it suggests all variables have some equality in the extent of the impact and control over the business environment. Some variables will have greater impact and degree of control from the outside factors than others. Dealing with so many variables could be impossible, and not knowing the extent of the complexity of the interactions is questionable. Dealing with constant outside influence will require a consistent reevaluation of the desired business objectives. Lastly, it fails to provide a uniform approach to management. Management practices change with the changes in the environment, so no standard set of principles apply to all types of organizations. Let's look at some examples to help you understand open systems mapping a little better. In this example, let's go back to Heap's approach. First, we need to describe the system. The system would be management. Next, we need to identify the factors that are influenced by the system. These factors would be that managers interact with the subordinates. Then, the relationship is described. So the manager supports the subordinates in a friendly way. Lastly, the emotions people feel about the relationship are indicated. So the subordinates feel happy that managers are supportive. Let's move on to another example. Here is a simplified example of a tree. A tree is a system of leaves, branches, and even fruit that together interact through photosynthesis and other processes to create outcomes far larger than what any single part could create. The tree itself is part of a larger system like a forest. You can see on the right of the tree mapped out with all the external factors that impact its environment. As you can see, open systems mapping is understanding the factors that influence the organization, mapping them out to see where the organization currently stands, and then mapping out where the organization wants to be. Once you identify the gap between where you want to be and where you are, the organization can start making changes to influence the future. Thank you for watching this lesson on open systems mapping. I hope you enjoyed it.